Hey, this is your boy Kenny Braswell with 5 Flow, 5 minutes of motivation and not that much more. Hey, this week I'm going to spend possibly a couple of extra minutes with you because this one is a special 5 Flow. This is the end of January, and starting February 1st, myself as well as my company, Fathers Incorporated, we're going to take a 30-day fast from social media. Because I just believe that I need to get a little refocused. I need to come off of the social media grid a little bit, just so that we can begin to plan. And this particular 5 Flow, I'm going to talk to you about the 5 reasons that we need to turn off the noise. But one of the other reasons that I'm entering this fast and also taking my company along with this is because, my church had a fast at the beginning of this year. And it was a fast that I had never engaged in before. It was one that took us off of things like sugar. It took us off of meats. It took us off of breads. And as a result of that, I really had to change my eating habits over the beginning of the year. And it was interesting because I had never done it before. I didn't exactly understand what the results were going to be beyond my spiritual walk in Christ. But 2 things happened during that time, and I want to share them with you very quickly so that you can see why my faith has increased in this whole notion of fasting and stepping away from some of those things that sometimes we feel we're addicted to, or we need to be able to regain our focus. The first thing that happened was I changed my eating habits as a result of that. And as a result of changing my eating habits, I lost 15 pounds in almost like 10 days. And so all this time I've been talking about losing this gut and doing some things to get more healthy. And as I focused on that fast and focused on 2017 and focused on my family and my business and things of that sort, in the midst of that, I also was able to obtain another goal of mine, which was to lose some weight. And so I got about 5 to 7 more I want to lose to kind of get where I'm comfortable with. But it was a blessing of the fast for me. The second thing that happened during the fast is that I was appointed by my pastor, Roy T. Barrett, at Discover Life Church here in Atlanta to lead the men's ministry of my church. And so I was both humbled and overwhelmed by that, because it's something that I've always wanted to do in my life, really lead the men's ministry of my church. And so I'm excited about that. We've already begun to think about what we're going to do in 2017. God is beginning to talk to me about how He's going to move the men of DLC. We are going to be called Men on Fire, and so the term just means men on fire for Christ. And so I'm going to be leading at least our men in the ministry of Discovery Life Church here in Atlanta. And I invite any of you who are my brothers and sisters here in the Atlanta area that don't have a home church and you're looking for some place to settle, to come on over to my church. I'm going to be offline for the next 30 days, but y'all know how to get in touch with me otherwise. And so those are the 2 things that happened to me. And so I want to give you 5 reasons to turn off the noise, because people are going to question, why are you going on a social media fast? And I was going to do this one time before, and I had some really good friends, really good people in my life give me some really good reasons why I shouldn't do that, because they thought that it would take away from my business if I had disappeared off the grid for 30 days. And I kind of took that advice and did not do it. But when I began to think about not doing that, in essence, what I was saying is that I was giving myself more credit for my success than I was giving God the ability to be able to do for me, absent those things that I thought I had control over. And in this space, we think we have control over our message. And I think this next 30 days for me is just going to be me releasing myself from that to get back and to do some things that's just going to take me to the next level, beyond and into 2017. So let's get this 5 Flow started. I'm already 4.5 minutes into this, and so we're going to blow through these 5 really quick. So I hope you get something from this, because I think that you really begin to think about how social media is impacting you. 5 reasons to turn off the noise. The first reason is when you can't make a clear decision. Whenever there's so much information out there that's clouding your ability to make a sound decision about your purpose, about your life, about your family, about your goals, about anything that you're engaging in, if it's too much noise, if you're engaging in things that have absolutely nothing to do with your destiny, then it's too much outside and external noise. It means that you don't have control of the things that you're listening to, the things that you're hearing, the things that's in your face. And sometimes you got to turn off the noise so that you can regain focus. My old pastor, Pastor C, in New York, said something to me one time that really struck me when she talked about being able to be clear about your decision making. And she was talking about how the old church was very stern in how it pushed people back in the ministry so that they would have some space to come out. And so a perfect example, so we just talk about how women could only wear skirts that were below their knees. And she was saying that it was a high standard in the church because even if you bucked up against that and you came up a little bit, you still was somewhat respectable if it was at your knees or a little above your knees. But when you leave it open, when you give people too much space to make too many decisions without boundaries, then you don't have any control over how people will respond to that. And so when you can't make clear decisions, it means that you don't have enough information or you don't have the right information. And that's a reason to turn off the noise. Number two, when your information is overload, when you're on information overload, it's very hard to stay focused when you got things coming to you from all over the place. You're watching Facebook, you're flipping for hours and hours on end, you're watching YouTube videos, you're engaged in Twitter chats, you're talking on Snapchat, you're doing Instagram, and you're doing Pinterest, and you're doing all these things on your phone, and you can't even focus on what's in front of you because your whole life is in this little mechanism that sits in the palm of your hand when your life is on the other side of the thing that you have in your hand. If you put the phone down, you would see more of your life in your hands than you do in the thing that you're holding in your hands. Number three, too much information clouds your judgment. If you can't make a decision, if you can't think about what's right, what's wrong, what's morally right, what's morally wrong, one of the things that I'm seeing now on Facebook with respect to all the stuff that's going on is I'm watching very intelligent people look like they have absolutely no ability to judge the difference between right and wrong. And I'm looking at them saying, I know this person and I know they've been brought up differently. I know they understand differently. Why does it look like that they can't make a clear judgment about what they're seeing? And sometimes it's just because they got too much noise in their ears and too much noise in their face. And it's the perfect reason to turn off from the noise. Number four, whenever the noise is impacting your emotions. And so if you cannot even get out of the way of your own emotions because you get bombarded by the information and the stuff that continues to come through social media into your space, you need to turn off the noise because it's crazy. People are losing friends. They're disconnecting from families. They are separating themselves from churches. They're separating themselves from circles. They're creating these crazy cliques and all kinds of things they are doing because they're allowing this barrage of dysfunctional information impact how they feel. And in addition to that, you're waking up emotionless and you're also waking up with a whole lot of stress. I read an article that talked about people who get up in the morning, or not in the morning, in the middle of the night, and the first thing they do when they get up in the middle of the night is pick up their phone to check their phone to see if they got any messages and to see what people are doing on Facebook and to see what's going on in the world. And while you're doing that in the middle of the night, you're filling yourself with a bunch of dysfunctional information. So when you go back to sleep, all of that stuff is in your neurological system. It's in your brain, it's in your heart, it's in your body. And so when you get up the next morning and you don't feel good about the world and you don't feel good about yourself, guess what? It's because you're feeding yourself with stuff that's not good for your psyche, not good for your emotions. Number five, when you turn off the noise, it allows you to plan to move from being reactive to being proactive. Part of what's happening now with the bombardment of all this information and all this nonsense and all this stuff that we're receiving on social media is we spend our entire lives reacting to something. We react to the breaking news. We react to what someone said. We react to how we think someone is thinking. We react to what someone is saying. We react to what somebody is posting. And we spend our entire day reacting to things. And when you spend your life reacting to something, when does it give you a chance to be proactive in doing the things that match your goals, that match your destiny, that matches your decisions, that matches your life, that matches the desires of your family, that matches the desire of your community? How can you possibly be any good to a community, to your family, or to yourself if you spend all your time reacting to what somebody else is saying? And I got a bonus. This one is for my Christian people, for my Christian friends. It's for everybody, but particularly for you who are Christians. You need to turn off the noise when you can't hear what God is telling you, because what he's telling you can't be heard over what the world is telling you. Let me say this again. If you're a Christian, you need to turn off the noise when the noise of the world is louder than the noise of God in your life, in your heart, and in your mind. And whenever you cannot even discern who you are, where you're supposed to be doing, what the word is, how you're supposed to be responding in this world, how you're supposed to see it, because you're judging everything you do by what the world is telling you, how can you subscribe yourself to be a Christian if you're not listening to what God is telling you over what the world is telling you? I hope this blesses you. This is Kenny Braswell with Five Flow. Again, we're turning off the noise February 1st. We'll be back online March 1st. While I'm away, I'm going to be planning. I'm going to be reassessing. I'm going to be praying. I'm going to be strategizing. I'm going to be collaborating. I'm going to be doing everything I can do possibly so that when I turn the light back on, you're going to see a whole new Kenneth Braswell and a whole new Fathers Incorporated. And you know what? We're going to set the world on fire. We're going to do exactly what God has intended for me to do and my organization to do in our lives, in our families, in our communities, and in this world. This is your boy Kenny Braswell, and how I like to leave you always: be kind to others as you're kind to yourself, or you might find yourself by yourself. Always shoot high for your goals, because even if you miss, you'll be amongst the stars. I'm your man Kenneth Braswell for Five Flow. Make sure you check us out on our partner stations, Blaze One Radio TV. BlazeOneRadio.com and Fatherhood Today on Fly TV. Until March 1st, be blessed and have a great February Black History Month. Peace out.